feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of being a single parent, you are not alone. Welcome to Single Parent Reset. I'm Orla, a life coach for single parents, and this podcast is here for you to feel a little bit more calm, a little bit more connected, and a little bit more supported in your single parent journey. If this is your first time listening, welcome along. And if you are coming back yet again, thank you so much for coming along. Now, this week's episode, oh my God, I am just so excited for you to listen to it. I have the fantastic Helen Thorn, who is one half of the comedy duo Scummy Mummies and also the author of 2 books now. So we talk about her books in this conversation. We talk about her single parent journey in this conversation. She is hilarious. I love this so much. So I'm going to stop talking so we can dive right into the conversation and have you listen. Helen Thorn, welcome to Single Parent Reset. It's great to have you here.
Oh, I'm thrilled. There is nothing I like more than meeting fellow single parents. So I'm meeting you, but I'm also meeting you out there listening. So it's an absolute joy.
Amazing. Yeah, I think, there's something about that instant connection when you meet another single parent. You're like, oh, you get it. You understand.
Yeah.
You know what it's like.
We've walked the same messy path. Yeah.
Yes, very. And for anyone who's listening who hasn't heard of you, do you want to tell them, first of all, just who you are, what you're about, and we can go from there.
Okay, so I'm a few different things all at once. That's why I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Chaotic. Can't decide. So I'm a comedian. I'm one half of the Scummy Mummies podcast and comedy duo with the incredible Ellie Gibson. I am an author. And we do, podcasts, and I am a marathon running nerd, which is a recent addition, and a very proud single mum. So that's me. And I'm also Australian, but I can't hide that fact. That's very obvious. So I've been here 20 years. This is next month's my 20-year anniversary of arriving to London. So yeah, I know. I still sound fresh off the boat though.
Yeah, you have not lost it.
No.
So you mentioned now that you've written some books, which is where I actually first came across you, which was your first book, which I'm going to hold up, Get Divorced, Be Happy, which I loved it. And I read it only in the last year. I read the book. So I would have been about 4 years since I'd separated at the time. And the book is basically you're in it. Like you have just separated from your ex-husband and you're talking about going through the motions of what it's like. And because I was a few years away from it, it was like I was transported back into the past. I was like, I'm feeling quite triggered. I was like, I forgot all these emotions. So do you want to talk about what made you want to write the book and what it was like for you even writing that book?
Yeah, so Get Divorced, Be Happy was written almost as live. So it was written while I was in the moment in that first year of divorce. And as anyone who's gone through it or has witnessed a friend, it is that time where your life has exploded. So you are experiencing all these major extreme emotions. And so I wanted to write the book because so many books are written, 3 or 4 years down the line, or they're written by experts, or they're written from a place of calm. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that is a place that you're in the first year of divorce. So I wanted to speak to that time and to speak to people in that headspace, because it's an experience you can't really explain unless you've been through it. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to encapsulate the anger, the sadness, the fears, mm-hmm. and also it's chock full of expert advice. So it was me kind of going, who am I? What am I doing? Help me. So and everything that I knew as normal was not normal. And how do I rebuild a life? What does it look like now as a single mum? And it also encapsulates the joy and those firsts. Like, I think whenever you enter a new stage of life, there's the elation of like, the possibility. Mm-hmm. Rather than what's being taken away. So, I'm really proud of that book because I was like, I had I think, a cigarette in one hand and a glass of wine in the other while I wrote it, and probably, surrounded by McDonald's wrappers and things like that. It was a heady time. But I think that sort of survival time is also really important. And also I wanted to make people feel normal about feeling these feelings and that you're not alone. And I think that's the strength of the book, is that so many women said, oh my God, I could have written it.
Yeah.
This is my story. So I'm glad that I was brutally honest and
Yeah.
laid it all bare, because that's the biggest thing. I think, it's that great saying about like shame thrives in secrecy. And so I wanted to take those layers of shame away from it, because, and especially when you've experienced a breakup because of an affair, there is that kind of, are people judging me? Why did my partner cheat on me? Why did he leave me, or she, or whatever? So yeah, I wanted to kind of get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, which I really like, because I think you're right. A lot of the books are kind of like after the fact has happened and you've done all the healing and you're like, now I'm here and I'm healed. But in your book, like, it is raw.
Yeah,
Like you said, but then you have the experts swoop in and be like, but this is what you can do.
yeah,
But it's like really good to speak about it, because a lot of the time you almost see the end product of the transformation. People are like, wow, she's amazing. She's so strong. How did she do all of that? And actually, this book is that bit in the middle of like, this is actually what the reality looked like.
mm.
For you, actually, you've touched on there the fact that for you, there was like, when your husband left, if you want to share a little bit about that story. And how did that feel for you in terms of dealing with feelings that are so, where a lot of people feel when it comes to separation, particularly if there's been infidelity, is like shame or guilt, all of these things. Like, what was that like for you? Because it's so common and it doesn't get spoken about enough.
No, and I
Mm.
think this is it, and I think I really wanted to put light on that, because I was with my husband for 22 years. We were married for 10 of those years. And we had two children who were 8 and 11. And, I thought that was it. I thought I was all tucked in, took my vows quite seriously, as you do. And, we'd weathered some storms. We'd done couples counseling and all sorts of things. And I thought, right, okay, well, we're a team.
Mhm.
There's two of us in this marriage. But I mean, as Princess Diana once famous said, there was actually three. So my ex-husband had been having an affair for 4 years with a woman he'd met online.
Mm.
And I knew her name because I found a love letter. That's how I found out about the affair. He didn't tell me, even though I'm sure there were points, especially because we did couples counseling, but he didn't
Yeah.
bring that up during the 18 months we did couples counseling.
Yeah.
He was having an affair during that time as well. So
Oh, wow.
that was another layer of betrayal, because I knew something wasn't right. And so we did all this couples counseling every week, all that money, that time, thinking, and he was, I've watched enough sort of documentaries and listened to enough podcasts. He was losing weight and getting fitter and more confident. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, he's found himself and we're getting stronger as a couple. But no, he was just having it off with someone else.
Sorry. And the fact that I'm sorry, because you
Yeah,
were like weekly in therapy, so you were in
yeah,
a perfect space for him to disclose the information. And I'm sure
yes.
you must be thinking, what can we do to fix this? What is the like unlock here? What is it? And the whole time
Why does he
he had
feel
the
distant?
answer.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I know, and this is the thing that made me kind of there were many jaw dropping
yeah.
moments, but I remember after finding out about the affair, I was like, we had 18 months of couples counseling. It could have come up.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, why? And he said, oh, I just wasn't asked the right questions. I was like, did I not say, are you putting your penis in another lady? Did I not? What was going to unlock this
Yeah.
thing that was going on all the time in your head? And I was, God, the admin of having an affair for 4 years, that must be exhausting. Like,
Yeah.
really, I'm
Yeah.
tired enough as it is with, two children and a boyfriend who I see maybe once or twice a week, but to
Yeah.
do two at once, yikes.
Yeah, that is a lot. And that is a lot. And then the one thing as well that can happen when, separation happens under those circumstances as well, it can then suddenly, not only is your whole future up in the air, like Christ knows what's going to happen there, but suddenly your past gets rewritten, because you can then overanalyze, like, okay, well, when we were doing that, was this actually going on? And it can actually, suddenly you've got a different view on the whole past events as well. Was that something for
Yes.
you?
That's it. And if you think of your past as like a set of files, right? So you've got, every year is a file or whatever. It was like all the files had just been thrown up in the,
Mhm.
like, everything was higgledy piggledy, because everything was into question. Like,
Mhm.
when we were on holidays, he had to come back early. So he'd like, oh, I've got this meeting. I'm coming back early 2 days. I was like, that was probably him coming. Like everything went into doubt, and like so
Yeah.
my brain was just like going
Yeah.
back through everything. And because it had been going on for 4 years, it was just it was a nightmare. And I did ask him. I said, "Oh, if you were so good at having this affair for 4 years, were there other women?" And he said yes. And then I stopped asking questions. I thought, I actually don't. Do I need to know all those details? I know some people would want to know, but I
Yeah.
thought I don't think my brain can handle anymore. Oh,
Yeah.
and will it change? Like we're getting divorced. Like as soon as I found the love letter, I was just like, it's over, it's done. Like there was
Yeah.
not even half a second of doubt. And then the next day he left. And luckily, because that was about 2 weeks before the COVID lockdown in 2020.
Yeah.
Then we went into lockdown and he was in a separate flat,
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes walk away, so the kids could go and visit him during lockdown. But it was utterly devastating. Like
Yeah.
my past had been sort of just sort of sullied, like poisoned,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
any good moment just sort of it was like when there's been a flood, or when your house has been flooded and everything's covered in mud or silt or something, like everything had been muddied by this horrible truth.
Yeah.
And apart from my children, who were perfect and wonderful, and I love them very, very much. But it was very, very hard. And then of course, you grieve from your past and you grieve for your future. This living grief that is a sort of in your nervous system.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like, yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like the grieving for the future as well. Like you've got this whole life you plans, and then it's so daunting. And I guess then for you in those early days, while you were grappling with it all, what did help you? Like, what were the things that actually worked for you to help you move through and understand and navigate these emotions that you never thought were going to be piled on top of you?
I guess there was sort of 3 things that really helped. It was knowing I was unconditionally loved by family and friends. Like I think, like with any big life change, you really know who your your ride or dies are.
Mm.
And friends just, even though it was COVID, like they'll drop by and put a lasagna on the doorstep, or just say, "I'm here for you."
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that got me through, just knowing I was loved, and that friends who'd been through divorce, or friends of friends, people got in touch and say, "Look, I know how you're feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the worst thing, but it's actually going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. You just don't know that yet." So having those sort of, and again, that's I guess why I wrote the book, because I wanted to be that friend that reached out to me. And if people don't have that in their community, I wanted to be that friend in the book. But so I think that was really important. And I think laughter, I think actually not letting, even though I was in the pits of depression and despair and darkness, I think having connection and laughter with my kids, or still being able to laugh, is a real lifeline. And it's that circuit breaker, like, still laughing at stupid cat videos online and things like that. I think that was really important. And then I think the other thing, which is the least healthiest thing, was that I took smoking and got very heavily into drinking. And I don't want to advocate for this. I really don't. But I just remember I just used to think, right, every couple of hours, I had like this really disgusting old jacket. I'd go outside and I'd just go outside and have a fag in the garden. And just for like 5 or 10 minutes, it was just like to catch my thoughts and things like that. And and so many people talk about, as soon as they get broken up, quickly buy a packet of fags, which again, I'm not saying is a thing, but it's very interesting that that's what we go to. And I don't smoke anymore. I don't vape or anything like that. But it was just pure survival. So yes, again, don't smoke, kids.
Well, I mean, I guess now the more healed version of you could look back on that and say you were giving yourself 10 mindful minutes outside, but the cigarette
Thank you, Orla. Yes.
Yes, the cigarette was the excuse to do it. But in fact, you were just practicing mindfulness for 10 minutes and giving yourself space. And that's what you would now do.
Yes, I love
You
that.
wouldn't
So
need
please.
you wouldn't need the cigarette to do it. You would just do it. But hey,
No.
if that's what's going to get you out to do that, that's what you need, especially if it was during lockdown with two kids in the house. So yeah.
Yeah. Homeschooling, the full disaster. Yeah. So, but I should say actually, it was. I live opposite a woods. Like, we live in Southeast London. There's some really lovely old woods near us,
Okay.
and every day walking in the woods with my children, so healing, so incredibly healing. And now we go there once every 3 months, but we were there every day for an hour, 90 minutes, just
Yeah.
rambling in the finding new pathways, finding an old swing, and it was beautiful weather. Like, it was this time of year and it was just sunny every day. And so I think being outside really healed me. And that was before I even started running and becoming the insufferable running nerd that I am now. But
It's not
before I
insufferable.
properly drank the Kool-Aid and switched over.
Yeah.
But I think nature is very healing as well.
Yeah, like I think it can give you perspective just getting outside of your house, because you can feel so cooped up and stuck in with the kids, and just getting out can really, really help. And with your parenting then, are you co-parenting, or what's the setup that you have?
Yeah, so from the very get-go, even though the kids were little, we sort of went with their dad had them 4 days a fortnight. And sometimes that looked like two and two over the fortnight, and then other times it might be one night and then like a Thursday to Sunday kind of thing. So it meant that I could get a proper weekend, because he used to do like Thursdays and Friday nights and then they come back Saturday night, but it meant I could never have a weekend
Yeah.
away. So we sort of changed it around. But now they're like, my daughter's nearly, she's 17 and a half and often just stays at home. She doesn't want to go. And my son, so it's a bit more ad hoc. Like, I'm at home this week. I'm not on tour. So their kids are like, well, I'll just stay here. I don't want to go to dad's. So it's a bit more flexible. But then I'm going away for a week, so they'll go to his, or my partner might come and look after them. So it's it just changes. And and it will keep changing. My daughter's only got one more year of high school. Oh my God. And then, maybe having a gap year or going to uni and things like that.
Yeah.
So I've just kept negotiating. And I think one of the best bits of advice I ever got was like, you don't get divorced. It's not one decision, is it? It's like many, many, many ongoing decisions and negotiations and all those sort of things. So yeah, I can see it kind of changing as the kids have got older as well. So I keep adapting. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do adapt, because I think, because when they're younger, it's like a certain way. And then, and I think it's learning as soon as you can early on, that I'd say to people, is that knowing that you're in it for the long haul with this person. So whatever you can do to make it work with them, because unfortunately they're not going anywhere if you're agreeing to co-parent. And even when your kids are 18, they're still going to be there at weddings. They're still going to be there at christenings and stuff like that. So it's finding a way to make it work, and separating from whatever the circumstances were from the separation and that person, and just almost like seeing that you're, ending that relationship and starting a new one as a co-parent with this person can really help at times, particularly if it's been a fractious separation with the person.
Absolutely. And I think it is hard. And I have I would say, professional relationship with my ex now, or I don't know what's the right phrase.
Your colleagues.
Yes, exactly. We've got joint interest in the children. And again, and a great bit of advice I once got was, love your kids more than you hate your ex, which I know it sounds really obvious, but I know for some people they've encountered the other way around from their co-parenting partner, where it feels like their hatred for them is greater than their love for their children. Like, it's always that sort of, how can I bring her down? So I think so far we've managed to keep the ratio of an hate the right way.
Yeah, the right balance, just about.
Yes,
which is
just about.
This is
depends who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to the children, yes. If I'm talking to my best friend, oh, he's a bastard. Fucking bastard.
Yeah. And another thing.
Oh my God, can you believe?
Just one more thing. promise I'll stop talking about myself.
That is another very key thing. You have to have a few trusted inner circles that you can blow off all the swears and all your real feelings to. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And having trusted single friends. So I think that's the other thing. There's so many people get in touch with me after, I wrote the book or I've been on a podcast and going, I don't have any single mates. And I was like, reach out to people online. I think the single parent community, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so welcoming. And I think even if your best mate's not a single mum, there'll be someone that you can connect with online that'll go, come in, come here, come in.
Yeah. And it's true. And it's like, I'm allowed to say this to you. You understand this, because friends get it, but they don't fully get it. And so I think, knowing other single parents is just, or even if you just join communities and you're just watching the comments of a Facebook group in the background, like having a glass of wine, just even seeing other people saying those things, or like reading the likes of your book is making you think, oh, it's not just me, and it's okay to think these things, which I think is really useful. And one thing I actually say, particularly for the early days when like you're separating, and everything just feels like an absolute car crash in your life. And, a lot of the time, well, for me, I'm a talker, so I like talking things through. Then you realize like you're just saying the same thing over and over, but you still want to say it over and over sometimes because it still like needs to get out. So what I say to people is divide and conquer, meet people individually. Don't meet the group, meet each of those people individually so you can say the same thing over and over to them. And because you know what I mean? Sometimes you just are like, I just want to say one more thing. Can I just, because it's just so much in your head. So instead, if you've got a group of 4 friends, meet them individually. You can just keep on going. That you got 4 hours worth of talking instead of 1 hour there.
You're a genius.
I know, it's a good one, isn't it?
Excellent.
Yeah.
That is excellent because I think, it is. You've got to get it out of your system. And also, I think I say this in my the new book, How to Face Big Change, is that if you sometimes feel like you've got credits with how much, not sympathy, but also I think, and sometimes you think, oh, I think I've not worn out that friend, but like.
No, you do. Yeah. You're like, I can't keep saying this to that person, but I still want to keep saying it. So, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I think for the first year, that's fine. But if you're 4 years in and you're still on that same record, then I think that's where you need to start getting more like additional support and stuff like that for things. But definitely at those early days when it's just one text message sends you flying, and then, or something happened at the school gates and, all of that, that's when you need to divide and conquer your friends. So no group dinners, no like separate one-to-one appointments only.
That's it. Don't have all your cake at once. Slice by slice.
Yeah, slice by slice. It's great. And another thing which you write so humorously and honestly and openly about in your book is dating. And tell us about you getting out there dating.
Well, it was an unexpected delight, Orla. And, it is, I learned a lot about men and dating, and I think most importantly about myself through the very interesting world of online dating and being a woman in my 40s, exploring, my sexuality for the first time in, 22 years. And, there's a lot of awful things about online dating, but also it just seems like the place in which people meet in the 2020s. I met lots and lots of different men. I got very curious about what it was to be a single woman, about what I liked, what I didn't like, and I decided to be really open to dating lots of different men. I had lots of one-night stands. I had lots of just meeting people at the pub and it going nowhere. And because, every second weekend my kids were with their dad, I had this opportunity that I could, meet people and date and things like that. But I really learned a lot. And, I did make mistakes and I did end up, having too many glasses of wine and going back to people's places. But I don't think I was ever in a place where I didn't feel safe. And every time I went out, I'd let, girlfriends know where I was. I'd send them like screenshots of the guy. I would have done like research, check their Facebook and things like that. So I'd sort of almost safe, all those sort of things. So I decided that, friend of mine said, men don't care. They really don't care what you look like in terms of like, don't worry if you haven't quite shaved all your bits or you've got a few wobbles and things like that. Men aren't as fussy as you think they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't speak from others' perspective, but I was, as a woman dating a man. But yeah, so I had sort of different flings and things like that. So yeah, it's not for everyone. And I know a lot of women who experience betrayal like I did in an affair did not want to entertain, for years and years and years, didn't want to date because they didn't want to get hurt and they felt self-conscious about their bodies and things like that. So I think it really is down to the individual. For me, I really enjoyed it and, had some really positive experiences from it. And I did meet my current partner who I've been with for 3.5 years on Bumble. So I have to say it did lead to something kind of lovely.
Yeah.
Or not kind of, incredibly lovely. But I also know it isn't a guarantee and there's lots of dickheads. I would almost say probably about 98% dickheads on there. So yeah, you do have to do a lot of sifting.
Yeah. And I guess it depends on how you look at it. If it's going to be, something just for you, something fun to do, or like getting it really clear as like what your intention is and how you approach it. Like if you're looking for the next one in your life, maybe you're more intentional about your dating. But if you're just wanting to go out and have a bit of fun, well, then you will just go do like, whatever you want and have not much as attachment to it. And being clear on it, I think, can really, really help there. And how you write about your partner, oh my God, I nearly cried at one bit in your new book because when you talk about when you both said I love you to each other, and it was just so nice, and you got really nice advice from one of your friends where you were talking about not knowing when to have the conversation, about taking next steps and everything. And your friend just said such nice grounding advice. It was like, just wait, there's no rush and it will happen when it needs to happen. And I was because I think you could be so nervous when you're entering into new relationships after being in a big relationship of thinking, oh God, where are we going? What is this? What is this? And actually just taking the pressure off and just like letting it be, which I thought was really nice advice, because otherwise, you can just have yourself in knots and then have that conversation way too early, or when it doesn't feel right, just because you just want something.
Yeah, I think that's it. And it's actually 3 years since that happened because we were talking about that the other day. So it sort of happened after about 6 months of being together, and there was lots of I really, really like you. This has been lovely and all that sort of stuff. In the lead up to it, but the fact that we waited, and I think, and again, I can't give advice to others in terms of when is, I can't give a day or how long you should wait, because you know yourselves what's right for you, and I think that's important. But it did mean a lot when it happened, and I know that it really. And then like the month later, that's when he met my children. So we waited 7 months before introducing the kids. And because his mum died when he was 12 and his dad started dating, a couple of years after, he knows what it's like to be introduced to a new partner and, when your parents dating, and he's really conscious of that and really lovely. So, but yeah, to trust a new person after betrayal is really hard. And those voices of doubts, I don't think entirely go away. I still have those moments where bits of my past, scars from my past are present, but also I have to be kind about that and go, right, here are those thoughts coming, and I know they're in there. They're in my nervous system. They rattle around and something unexpectedly will trigger it, and I'll feel myself shrinking. I feel myself feeling fragile, and I'll just sit with it and go, yeah, that's fair enough. You went through a really hard time, and I trust my partner enough that I can say, look, this is how I'm feeling right now, and this is not to do with you. This is to do with, the wobbles that were there before. So I think, having a partner I can trust to say, these are my real feelings, and he's really good at listening to that and knowing that it's a temporary thing. It's like the feelings are coming through you. And so that's been really great. And actually, I feel like, it took a while for me to ask for what I wanted, because I was so used to being in a relationship that was quite toxic, and every time, stepping on eggshells around him, I didn't know how he was going to explode. But actually having someone who is in touch with their emotions, who communicates well, that can take a while for your nervous system to get used to as well, because you're constantly thinking, oh, they're going to react negatively, when actually, no, they're like, no, I'm here for you. You can be sad, you can be happy, you can be all these things. So that's taken a while, and just letting my shoulders drop just a tiny bit, and those sort of things.
And I think that's really nice for anyone to hear who is maybe going into a new relationship, that, some of the stuff will sit from your past, but it's learning to know that, like, it's going to come up, but knowing it's not a them problem. It's just something from your past that's moving through you. I think you can tell you've certainly done some therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Therapy, very useful. Very useful, it turns out.
Yeah, it does help. It really does help, because when your friends are sick of hearing it, the therapist, you can pay someone to listen.
I know, worth every penny. I know. I did a couple of years, good solid years of therapy after the divorce, and it just was great. And and the thing about therapy is that you start off with one thing, and then you're like, actually, there was that thing that happened when I was a teenager, and then everything gets put out on the table, and that's great. Because it's sort of bit by bit, you just sort of neaten everything up, and it's great. And then everything is interconnected. This is the thing. You just think, well, I'm just going to deal with this problem, and that's all I need to do. Is like, oh, no. When you start unraveling things, it all appears.
Yeah, it certainly does. No, so that's, I think it's brilliant that, you find the benefit of it, because I think a lot of people are a bit hesitant to it, but I think it's really good. And then, so for your second book, so your first book was when you were like in it, and like I said, when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this is intense read for me. It's bringing me way back. I was like, wow. But then when I saw you brought your second book out, which is How to Face Big Change and Come Back Stronger, which is such a brilliant book. Like, it's amazing because it focuses, I'm going to let you describe it, because I'm just going to let you describe what the book's about. And I feel like it's just a nice second move on from the first book as well. So if you want to talk about that book.
So I think, people kept asking me, when am I going to do a follow-up? Because again, as you said, there was the first year, but actually the first year of anything, the dust hasn't really settled. And it's in the second and third year when the lasagnas stop, people stop asking how you are. And like you were saying, it's not that you've exhausted your friends, but it's time now just to put your big girl pants on and go, right, what do I want my future to look like? I can't change. This is where I'm in it now. I have been changed. What's my purpose? What are my values? How do I want the future to look? And so, I've just been through one big change, but what I was really interested in is stories of hope, because so many people had written to me and contacted me saying, I can see that you're really happy now, Helen. Like you've got your health in order, you've found love. Seeing you a year, 2 years, 3 years ahead has given me hope. And I thought, I want to collect all these stories of hope of all these women who've gone through all sorts of big life changes like divorce and health issues like cancer, grief, and give women a sort of roadmap or many roadmaps to move forward, and that it is okay to be angry and it's okay to be broken, and that self-compassion. But also, by going through these hard things, what does it give you? It can give you confidence. It can give you a renewed sense of purpose. It can give you new connections, new communities, and the light can seem just a bit brighter. So it's a very hard to nutshell what the book is about, but it is about how to face big change and come back stronger. But it's the many, many pathways to that. And there's no timelines. There's no check boxes, and there is no right or wrong answers either. It's about how we weave and we navigate. And it's also, I'm very clear in the book that the pain doesn't go away, and that it's about how we live and we move with it and we grow with it as well.
Yeah, no,
is that how it comes across as the read?
That is how it comes across. Yeah, that is how it comes across. That's
okay,
it.
Great. I mean,
You got it right. Don't worry. That's how I took it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Orla.
I'm like, no, I thought it was a fictional story about something.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No
No.
dragons. What?
No, but it was really, I think what I love about it as well is like, because obviously you did speak to loads of people in it, which I was so jealous of, because I think once you've been through a big change, it's quite addictive then speaking to other people who've also been through big change. Be like, what was it like for you? Like you have this connection and such a deeper level of like compassion and empathy for others once you've been through your own tough journey. You actually, and that's one of the gifts that you get is even that. So the fact that you got to sit with all these people and speak to them, I was like, I'm so jealous.
Oh, I loved it. It was delicious. For two
Yeah,
and a half years, I sat in this very chair
yeah,
at my computer here in my study. And and it was like choose your own adventure. So I started off talking to a few women and they're like, oh, you need to talk to her. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, on to
yeah,
Zoom I go. And it was so delicious. And I tried to talk to people who'd had a diverse range of experiences, diverse
yeah.
backgrounds, ages.
Hmm.
But what I wanted to show was the unifying threads
Hmm.
that brought them all together. And what is it about being a woman and coming
Yeah,
into your power? And that
yeah.
I think is awesome.
It is, no, and it is. And I think this is the biggest gifts of like if coming into becoming a single parent and navigating all that it is like you really like you do not care about anything else anymore because you've like, well, but come at me. Like seriously, I've really had like a lot thrown at me. Like it's gonna take a lot to knock me now. So you don't care about so much stuff anymore because you've
Yeah.
had so much taken away or changed for you. So like you get that, and also you build your inner strength. But I've such a love-hate relationship with the word resilience because people are always like, you're so resilient. And I'm like, I don't want to be resilient. Life has made
No,
me resilient. So like,
I
it's like,
didn't have any other choice.
yeah, it's like, that really
Right
like, and that
on
whole
me.
narrative of like, you're so strong. I'm like, I don't want to be strong. Uh,
No, not today. Yeah.
but I think you do get all of that, and it is one of the benefits. It's not enjoyable, the journey sometimes to get there, but actually it takes a lot to knock me now when things happen, which I think is really good. And then yeah, like you said, you connect with other people just naturally through like you find other communities and other like it can open up your world to so much that you never would have thought of before when you were thought, well, you're on this track, you married this person, you're going to be living this life and this is it. And now suddenly, well, you're off doing marathons all the time and doing, I'm sure you didn't see that happening.
Oh no, and I didn't. So many people know me now because of the marathon running and like the things I've shared recently in social media about running. But I wasn't a runner for most of my life. That's a fairly recent thing. And I didn't run my first marathon until 6 months after the divorce book came out. So I guess that's why I thought it was really important to talk about what happened next.
Yeah.
And also writing the book was a real health hazard because it was kind of incredibly cathartic
Yeah.
writing the divorce book, but also my health really suffered because I was like up late, drinking red wine in a mug and smoking. And I wanted to write about that as well, as that there was such a need for me to externally show that I was doing well, that I was coping, that I was rebellious and I was this, empowered single woman. But there was still so much work I had to do on myself and especially around my health and, why was I having so many one night stands and things like that? Like there were a lot of sticking plasters that I think were on during that time.
Yeah.
And I think the real work came when I started taking them off.
Yes, actually, do you know, it was in your second book. It's in like the opening pages. I wrote it down. I'm gonna read a little quote, see if I can find it. God, where it's gone now. Oh yeah, so people saying like, when do you know that you're feeling better? And when will I feel better? And you say it's not actually happiness; it's being able to sit with the feelings, but also you stop wanting to appear strong and you accept vulnerability is not the same as weakness. Like that's like vulnerability not being the same as weakness is such an important one because it can feel really vulnerable to say. Because yeah, you can be like, I'm fine, I'm doing all the things, everything's okay, and you feel like that looks really strong, but actually you can turn around and be like, I'm not fine, and that doesn't mean you're weak. It's totally fine, so you're not fine.
Yeah. And I think that's it. And I think vulnerability is the strength. And I think in writing the book, I really started to change my definitions of success, my definitions of happiness, about all those sort of things. And I think even when I started writing the book, I thought, oh, it's all about these warrior women, but actually it is about women asking for help. That can be really scary and also a really strong thing to do, because I think naturally we don't want anyone to worry about us, don't want the fuss, all those sort of things. So I think that was really important. And this book was, I think I'm much more honest in this book as well, because in the first book I was like, it's all his fault and this is shit, and I was a really good person. But actually, after the dust settled, I had to kind of look back and like, there probably were times in my marriage I could have questioned it, but I was frightened.
Yeah.
Frightened of getting divorced. I was frightened of becoming a single parent. And now going into a new relationship, which I, would like to, go on for as long as it can go. But I say I am not afraid of divorce anymore. And I think in a way that makes this relationship even stronger, because we both know at any moment it could end.
Yeah.
But that it won't break us, that's really important. And I think, I have strength in new ways. But I didn't want to be changed in terms of, I've always been really positive and always been quite a sunny person. And people who know me, they use words like, oh, Helen's really bubbly, or, that sort of thing. And I think that is a really, strong characteristic of myself, but also I think I'm a little bit better at saying no, and a little bit better at valuing my own worth, which I think I've really benefited from as well.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think, that's so good to hear that you've got that. And I'm sure in the early days, that's not something that you imagined you would have got. But I think it can, because the essence of you is still there, but just with a lot more bolstering around you as well. And I like how you said you wanted the book to be about all these warrior women, but actually it's just about women out here living their lives and, asking for the help, and that's the thing. I think the sooner you could open up to asking for help and telling people, today's not a great day, the sooner things just become easier. You don't need to put on a front and pretend, because, well, who are you doing it for? Like, who are you actually doing it for?
Absolutely. And I learned so much. It was like doing a PhD, talking to 50 different women, and I wanted to hear all their and most people don't know what they're doing. That was the glorious thing. It's like, we're all just stumbling through. It's all right.
No one has a clue. And you're looking at this other person, you're like, oh, they're amazing and they're doing all that. But it's just, they'll be looking at you thinking, oh my God, but how is she doing that? And just focus on yourself, forget about everyone else. I always say it, like, you could spend all this time comparing yourself to others. But I mean, just focus back on you and build the best life for you. Helen, I could talk to you for days and days and days. Like, this is so fun. But
I know, I've got a new friend. It's fun. Thanks, Orla.
But I guess my favorite question that I always ask at the end of podcasts is, what is your absolute favorite thing about being a single parent or being on your single parent journey?
Oh, I just feel closer to my children than I've ever felt. I love who they are, and I love that we have a closeness that I don't think we may have, or maybe we would have, but I love that we sit around now as like we live in a share house. Like, they help me with the cleaning and we do shared cooking, and there is a bond that really strengthens us. And and I feel really proud of them, and I feel really proud of us as a family of 3. So I love being a single mom so much.
I know, do you know what? It's the best. I love it as well.
Really?
And I think it is because my son he was only 1 when I separated from my son's dad. And we now do co-parenting 50-50. And I just can't imagine parenting in any other way. So, like, obviously for him, he knows no different. But also for me as a parent, really, he was only 1, so I know no different. So I'm like, I can't imagine, like, first of all, having another parent in the household with me now is just alien.
No,
like,
I don't want to compromise nothing.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's just the nicest thing. And I think it's so funny. There's such a stigma still out there. It's not funny, but there is such a stigma out there about this idea of broken homes. And, oh, isn't it awful? And, oh, poor you. But meanwhile, in our homes, they're so full of love and so full of joy.
We're really having a lovely time. And it's not like it's a party the whole time. It really isn't. But I like that my children know that I can fix the boiler. And I've been really pushed out of comfort zones that I would have stayed in had I been married. And I bloody love that. And I have to dig a bit deeper. And I heard this, it was a tiny little quote the other day that was, through courage, you find confidence.
Yes.
Like, that's fucking it. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't need, yeah, it's like confidence is the result of doing something. You don't have confidence and then do it. You get the confidence after doing it. Yeah. It's
Yeah. And I
such
was
a,
like,
yeah, it's a
oh,
good one.
yes, please. Yum, 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 yum. I'm holding on to that.
Amazing.
Oh, and the other quote, which is in the book, in
Yeah.
How to Face Big Change, is where you put your focus, you get your outcome. And Julia Samuel said that.
Mm.
And there are times where I'm like, oh, things in my past that I can't change. And I'll go over it. I'm like, if I can't change that. But if I put my focus into the future, if I put my focus into really good people and good things, that's where I'll get my outcome. I can't change that bullshit that happened, but I can change what's happening here and in the future. So I think there are a few things that, we're naturally going to go off the rails and go off the tracks, but there have been a few really key bits of sort of advice or phrases or something that kind of like knock me back in again.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a nice note to end on. So I think we'll leave it at that because that's such a good one. But thank you so much again, Helen. And oh, actually, sorry, if people want to follow you and hear more about you, where's the best place to go check you out?
Okay, so for the comedy and the podcast and everything, I'm in the double act called Scummy Mummies, and my individual account is called It's Me, Helen Thorn, and the book is called How to Face Big Change and Come Back Stronger. And the divorce book is Get Divorced, Be Happy, and they're both available in all the different formats, so you can get them on audiobook. I read both of them. And a lot. That is the most popular format for both my books by far.
Yeah, I kind of wish I listened to it now because I think it would have been in hearing your voice and doing it. I think be like for some of the things would have been really funny actually to hear. Like, yeah. So go listen on audio.
Lovely.
Amazing. Oh, thanks again, Helen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Orla.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that I really enjoyed that conversation with Helen. I had the best time talking to her. She really lifted my spirits, and it was so good to just walk through the highs and the lows of single parenting and everything in between. So if you really enjoyed this episode, I do have one favour to ask. Could you please go and rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast, because it really helps other single parents find it, which is great because the more single parents that find this podcast, the more single parents are going to feel seen and supported, which is the whole goal of this podcast. And if you want to know more about me and the work that I do, go check out my website. It's the best place to see everything. So solascoaching.com, SOLAS coaching.com. On there, you'll see more about the one-to-one coaching that I do with individual clients and also the work that I do with workplaces to actually start supporting single parents in the workplace. And what that looks like is wellbeing talks or line manager training, awareness sessions, a whole host of things. So go check out my website and everything's there. And that's it for this week. I hope you have a brilliant week. Look after yourselves and I'll speak to you next week.